Hello, you're watching Anderson Community Television. I want to welcome you. I'm Kyle Densler, your host for this special edition of Anderson Speaks. We have a special guest with us here that we're going to focus on for the full hour. He is a native of Anderson, actually a graduate, and he is best known to many of you as a recent cast member of Survivor. With me, we have Matt the Beard Bischoff. Matt, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure. I came in the studio here, and it's definitely a step up from when I used to produce a show for Anderson Community Television.
Yeah, this is like a welcome back.
It is, man. I got the whole tour, so it's really nice, and I'm stoked to be here, man.
All right, Anderson roots here. You graduated from Anderson in 92. 92.
Yep.
And then spent how long with ACTV?
Well, I had a music video show called Urban Discipline that we did. It was a weekly show. We had action sports and alternative and heavy metal music, basically. And that lasted from 1992 to around 1998. And it was, you had to be committed to do a weekly show where you weren't getting paid any money to do it. It was a lot of time filming, editing, but it was awesome. It actually went citywide. There was other community televisions around all of Cincinnati at the time that wanted to pick it up. So we produced it at ACTV and made extra tapes to take downtown to be broadcasted citywide. So I still to this day get people, Urban Discipline, man, that have seen it. But even prior to 1992, I started out doing BMX bike videos with you guys. I produced 2 videos, Grindorama and Grindorama Part 2. And I just a young kid. And then we saw the studio and the facility, and we were like, big fans of music and MTV and stuff like that. So we just decided to start our own show, and it became this little cult classic here in the community. And it's memories that I'll never forget. A matter of fact, the tattoo on my left arm says Urban Discipline in graffiti, which is basically covering the majority of my arm. And that was through my time period of doing that public access show with you guys. So it's pretty awesome sitting here talking to you, because I used to be the one interviewing other people on my show. And I think it's great. I wish more people would use facilities like this, because it's like, if you don't have the money to buy a MacBook computer or a HD camera, you can come here and learn how to use it. It's a free to the community thing to do. Yeah. And I've always been a big fan of it, and I think it's awesome what you guys do for the community.
I really wish I'd known about facilities and opportunities like this when I was younger. Like you said, a lot of people think you have to go out and buy this and this. Well, there is stuff available already, like entire sets and things for folks to use to hone skills and to find out. Maybe you do it for a while and think that was fun, or you do it and it leads to a career. But I mean, it's was part of something that you love to do. It's part of something you still are, and it has kind of parlayed itself in a lot of other things. You said you used to do the interviews. You've been the interviewee quite a bit for a while, and the folks at home who recognize you from Survivor, they're probably familiar with some of the stuff that happens. There's so much to go into. Yeah. If you want to kind of walk through this chronologically, what interested you in doing it? How many times did you apply? Were you a big fan of the show, or was it kind of thing, I heard about this thing, I can go on and try it, or just run with that?
No, well, I want to first say that real quick before I forget, by being involved in, doing my TV show Urban Discipline, I was always in front of the camera. So when I went on Survivor, it wasn't really that hard to get used to. Where some people get a camera in their face, they freak out. They don't know what to say. They're all nervous, So I think it really helped me get used to being on a nationwide television show, kind of calm my nerves a little bit. So that's kind of cool.
You weren't freaking out thinking millions of people are going to watch this.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm a huge fan of Survivor. I don't watch a whole lot of reality television, but I've been a fan of Survivor since day one. And I applied in 2003. I made a ridiculous video, sent it in on VHS, and no one ever, got back with me. So I said, you know what? Too many people apply to be on Survivor. There's no way that they'll ever pick me, so I'm just not going to bother with applying anymore. But in my normal life, I always make things happen. I go for it. So I told my wife it was about 2 years ago, October of 2011. I was watching Survivor, and I saw their casting website at the end of the show, and I told my wife, I said, you know what, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to make a video, and I'm getting on Survivor this time. And I stated that to her. So literally, I went downstairs, I hung up a black backdrop, I set a camera on a tripod. It was nothing crazy, fancy edited, because I think some people that apply think they need to do this outrageous video, like, I need to get their attention. But the bottom line is they are looking for real people, okay? They're not looking for actors that are trying to be someone that they're not. So my video was just me telling them about me. I was like, hey, I'm Matt Bischoff. I'm 38 years old. I have a wife and 2 beautiful children, and I kind of like edited in like photos of my kids and stuff like that. And I just told them why I wanted to be on Survivor, and obviously I have this certain look to me, I got this crazy beard and tattoos and stuff, but I think one thing they liked about me is at the true core of my being, I'm a really sensitive man. I'm a family guy, and they kind of, I think, probably like the balance of this super gnarly looking guy, but he's really kind of just a real chill, normal, everyday dude that loves his family and cries over emotional stuff, on television or whatever. So
especially it's easy to do when you're away from them for a while, I bet.
Yeah, and that was, the whole process of getting, cast for Survivor it's really crazy, and it's a long process, and that you go through a certain amount of things, and they finally, you make it to the finals of casting, like you're one of the finalists, and I'm very lucky that I got picked. I mean, there's tens of thousands of people that apply for Survivor. You never know what they're looking for. So I'm just very fortunate and blessed that I got to do it. And one of the things that I was apprehensive about, I was super excited. Like, I cannot believe that I'm going to be playing Survivor. But leaving my wife and my 2 little boys for, it's almost 2 months you're gone.
Yeah.
With no communication whatsoever. There's no email, there's no Skype, there's no nothing. Even when you get voted off, you cannot, contact your loved ones.
So you're still sequestered, basically.
Yeah, till the game's over with, So that was really tough. But to be honest, when I was out there playing the game, and the second that I left Cincinnati and was on my way to L.A., to get ready to go on location, which we didn't even know where we were going at the time, it was game on to me. I was focusing all my energies and thoughts on the game of Survivor. It's like I wasn't going to leave my wife and my kids for that long and just kind of be worried about that. I was there to win a game, and so I just kind of focused my efforts on that, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Although when I finally got home, man, and saw my kids and wife for the first time, I freaked out. I broke down crying, holding my, children in my arms. I mean, it was an experience that I'll never forget, It's like I imagine what it's kind of like for people that are, in the military and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But it's crazy because even when you're, in the military or you're gone on deployment, you at least have Skype and phone call, emails, but with no communication whatsoever is really tough.
All or nothing, I think, would be hard to handle. I got like 5,000 questions in my head. One is just in general, do you think when they're casting folks, do they want to be able to see a person and be like, okay, we know it. Let's say we know this guy's personality is he's a nice guy. So when he gets into certain situations, we can bank on him. He's going to want to do the right thing. And this person over here, this is the kind of person that's going to want to do this. Do they look for people where they can kind of figure out what they're going to be like throughout the season? Or do they like to be surprised? Do they think this person, we hope, he looks a real nice guy, but we hope he turns or does this?
Well, I definitely think that when, just my opinion, like when they're casting people, they're definitely casting different types of personalities, knowing that when you put this certain group of individuals together, there's going to be conflict and there's going to be drama because they want to make a good TV show.
They want variety.
Shamar, for example, going into the game, I thought Shamar was going to be one of my biggest allies. You know, I was observing Shamar, and I saw his Marine Corps tattoos, and he just seemed like this just big, jolly Marine. Little did I know that when I actually got to speak to him and get involved in the game, that he was going to be the worst person possible to live with on the island. I mean, it wasn't even 2 hours into being there, and Shamar's running his mouth. I'm trying to build a shelter, and Shamar is sitting on a stump, which was my main support for the shelter I was building, running his mouth, telling me I'm an idiot for working on a shelter, we need fire, which I completely agree with. But you got to figure there's 10 people on the tribe. So if I'm focusing on one thing that needs to be done, there's 9 other people that could help out with fire. So why are you yelling at me for being productive, you know? I rarely get confrontational with people. I'm super easygoing and super laid back. And it takes a lot for me to get really mad and blow up on somebody. So I couldn't believe it when I actually was like, I kind of lost it a little. I just like, dude, you know, Shamar, I'm tired of you running your mouth, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm working, you're sitting here complaining on how thirsty you are and how dehydrated you are. We're all thirsty and hungry and hot, but this stuff needs to get done, man.
It's not like you're standing on a part of the island that's air conditioned, and he's not. Everyone's in the same position.
Yeah, I mean, I realize he's, 3 times the size of me, so maybe he needs more water and things like that.
I mean, us big guys have needs, and we're a little sensitive.
But I mean, the guy was in Iraq. You know what I mean?
Camel spiders.
Yeah, so it's like I figured he'd have a little more stamina than that, you know. So but I don't know. I get along with Shamar fine now. You know, when I was out in L.A. for the finale and we were hanging out, I got a funny picture of him like putting his hands around my neck, like choking me, you know what I mean? Just like joking around. But Shamar's a good dude. You got to figure when you're out there playing the game of Survivor, you're tired, you're hungry, you're thirsty, you're completely sleep deprived when there's like rats crawling on you and you're trying to sleep on this bamboo bed.
Something.
So people are going to be a little more cranky. The bad parts of your personality are going to come out, and I think people sometimes have a rougher time holding in that side of their personality in those conditions. I realize that in the game of Survivor, you don't want to cause too much trouble, so I kind of like tried to just be cool to everybody and just kind of keep it low key, and that's kind of like my strategy.
Have you noticed in your time and also with the seasons you've watched, is there a certain amount of time where people just kind of start like that? I don't want to call it, it's not as severe as Lord of the Flies, but they just kind of, that civility kind of just starts to degrade quickly. Is it a week or 2 in, or is it just different for everybody?
It's different for everybody, man. I mean, Survivor is one of the most mentally challenging and physically challenging things that I've ever done. And always being a fan of Survivor and watching the show and seeing people break down and freak out, you always kind of wonder how you would be in that situation, you know? And there's a lot of people that it really affected more than others. And some people, like when I got voted out, you know, I was majorly bummed out, but I'm also like, man, I'm so psyched I got to play. I at least got to play the game for 16 days. This is awesome, man. I can't believe I played Survivor. But some people like completely, when they go back to reality and real life, they really mentally freak out, and it affects them for a long period of time after the game is over with. And Survivor is kind of like an addiction. There's not a day that goes by since I started when I got the first phone call. Well, not even the first phone call. When I first applied for Survivor and made my video, there hasn't been a day that's gone by that I don't think about Survivor, that I don't think about the island. Mm-hmm. It lives with you, and it draws you to want to go back. Awesome. I would absolutely love the opportunity to go back and play Survivor if I was ever asked to go back and play.
Well, that's an important question, because with the challenge of the family and this and that's one thing I wanted to know is, would you do it again? But you're saying, I mean, it's just such a unique opportunity.
Yeah, you got to take the opportunity. It's like there's people on my tribe that I know that would never go back and play because it's tough. It's terrible. I mean, it'd be raining for 48 or 72 hours straight. And yes, you're in a tropical paradise like the Philippines, but when it's the middle of the night and it's pouring the rain and your shelter roof is terrible and rain's just coming in on you and there's nowhere to go, it's miserable. You're always wet feeling. That was one of the worst things for me. You never felt dry. Even when I would take my clothes and hang them up to dry, it's so humid they would always feel damp. So it's miserable. Like I said, there's rats that crawl on you when you're sleeping. You're covered in bug bites. It's disgusting. But sometimes when it's in the middle of the night raining, I would start cracking up laughing because I'd be like, "This is unbelievable, man." I was like, "We're not, where are we gonna go? There's nothing we can do. There's nowhere to hide. You just got to take it." And I felt more alive than I've ever felt in my life when you know that there's nothing that I can do. I can't go to Chick-fil-A and get a chicken sandwich or Frisch's and get a Big Boy. Just deal with it. You go into this survivor mode. The things that you normally think about in everyday life you're not even worried about that. You're literally thinking of, what challenge is going to happen. I don't want to go to tribal council. Your mind is constantly thinking about the strategy, and you're just trying to survive another day.
What sort of crew is there? The producers, the TV. I mean, is it just two people off talking? There's one camera guy. When everyone's together, there's one or two camera guys, or is there like a trailer that we don't see and everything's there, and you guys have to live it out, but they're there to capture everything? What's that juxtaposition like?
There's no. I've had people be like, "Is Survivor real? Like, are they giving you water and candy bars when we're not?" Seeing it. No, you don't communicate with production at all. And there's a decent amount of camera people and audio people that are there filming you 24 hours a day. So they have so much footage, dude, of you, and the majority of it never ever gets showed on air, which is a bummer because there's a lot of super awesome stuff, dude, that went down that did not get shown. But there's got to be, Survivor, they're telling a story from episode 1 to the finale. So, if I'm out, searching for a hidden immunity idol, they need to be filming me in case I find the idol. But they also got to be, if a couple other people are out, doing the same thing, they got to have a crew on them because they got to basically be able to put together this crazy story. And so there's you're constantly being filmed, and sometimes during the day it'd be hilarious because there'd be nothing going on. Like, let's say there's a day that there's no challenge, and there's these camera guys just filming you doing nothing,
You're literally like just sitting there.
Yeah, just laying around, and I would make funny jokes and stuff like that because I know that there's an audio guy listening to what I'm saying, and I would just say absurd things just for my own personal entertainment, but I respect the crew. I respect the game of Survivor more than I did before I played. Because when I'm walking through the jungle when it's pouring the rain, there's a camera guy that's walking through the jungle, walking backwards, filming me, and he's probably away from his wife and kids too. And I don't know, I just have a high respect for just the whole production of Survivor. It's a big production.
Do you ever think they're trying to, we think there's going to be an issue, so we're going to focus on these two versus those two are cool, maybe not as much drama? Do they have to try to guess where they think the story's going and maybe miss something? Or
I don't know. I mean, like I said, they pretty much document everything, and that's the thing. When you watch Survivor, even when I was watching the season, I would see, like, let's say I saw Sherry, and maybe she's looking like a strategic mastermind in that episode, when that's really maybe not what was really going on. I mean, in her mind, she was probably thinking she was the strategic mastermind. But there was a lot of times Michael, my main alliance was Michael and I. We were calling the majority of the shots, and we were running most of what was going on. And there were episodes where they didn't show any of it. And I was like, dude, it was upsetting to me because you know, I love as a fan of Survivor watching the strategy and the gameplay and stuff like that. And it was more at the beginning, it was more of the Shamar drama. They were showing the drama of Shamar, and even Shamar got sick and tired of seeing himself have that much drama, you know. And then the crazy Philip, and on his tribe, it was all about crazy Philip and this whole stealth R Us stuff. And so I don't know, it's definitely disappointing sometimes. Like, wow, why didn't they show the time when I was, you know, my feet were completely ripped apart from climbing coconut trees. They would bring helicopters in and film me climbing these coconut trees, getting all these coconuts down. Wow. That I was terrified of. I'm afraid of heights, and I was like so excited, like, man, it's gonna be so sweet, dude. Like they're gonna have this footage, and they didn't show any of it. So it just all depends on what they want to choose.
They only have so much time, and they
only have so much time, and
narrative
in a fans versus favorites type scenario. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of strong characters out there that are going to get airtime, and but overall, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about my edit. Like I'm super happy overall with how I was portrayed on TV. Everywhere I go around here and Cincinnati area, I get nothing but positive feedback from the fans. Like, we were rooting for you, and we were so bummed you got voted out, and this, that, and the other. So it's a good feeling to know that, you know, it would have been a bummer if I would have been some jerk out there and people would have hated me or something. So I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from everyone out there. So I'm happy about that.
That's awesome. What amount of time was it from when you basically leave to go, you're sequestered, so to speak, and then you're finally able, like you're not allowed to talk about, hey, yeah, I was voted off and this is when. How long of a time do you have to keep a secret? Basically, from when you're back in the real world, I guess, to when it actually airs, how long was that for you?
Well, I was gone in the Philippines for May and June of 2012. I got back like the day before the Anderson Township July 4th parade.
Okay.
And then we literally had to wait all the rest of the year, and until January of 2013 is when they announced the cast of Survivor, and that's when I could post on my Facebook, hey, everybody.
You couldn't even talk about it.
Yeah, no one knew. Like, this secret, like, the day they called me for the first time, I was at Chipotle on Beachmont when Survivor called me, and I was freaking out, dude. I was so excited. And I wanted to call all my friends and say, dude, Survivor called me. Like, just that excitement I wanted to share to people. But the entire thing is so top secret and gnarly contracts and different things like that that you literally are scared to death. And the thing is I usually am the type of person to abide by all rules and regulations. I did not want anything to even remotely jeopardize me getting on Survivor. So, you know, my wife knew about it, and my parents knew about it, but that's pretty much it.
How'd you manage the logistics of actually leaving the country, the continent, for 2 months, coming back, keeping it a secret, and no one going, where were you, dude? Were you like, rehab?
Yeah, that's a good question. I run a BMX bike company called Failure Bikes and another brand called Snafu. And we get stuff made over in Taiwan and China. So my kids didn't even know what I was doing. So they thought Daddy was going over to Taiwan and China to visit factories and conduct business, which is a good alibi for me because that's truly what I do for a living. Are
they younger or older?
Younger. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Okay.
So they thought Daddy was over in China and Taiwan, and that was pretty much my alibi to everybody. Like, nice. if someone asked my wife Tessa, where's Matt? Oh, he's over, checking out factories for the bike companies. But it's funny because I went out to dinner with my son's teacher, had us over to his house. They're big Survivor fans, and he was telling me, he said, Matt, when Ryder came to school and said Daddy's in China, he was like, oh, yeah, right, like, Matt and Tessa must have, Daddy must have got kicked out the door and having marital problems, and so a lot of people probably were speculating, like, where's Matt disappear off to? Because I'm always, like, doing a lot of stuff on social media, so to completely drop off the the map for so long is
Yeah, I'd have been
unlikely.
if we were friends. I'd have been like, they have internet over there. Why isn't he on Facebook? What's going on?
Right,
I'd have been
right.
the annoying guy.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I mean, I just can't imagine having to keep that.
It's a big secret. I mean, I can keep any secret now if I have to, because that was the, I kind of look at it like when my wife was pregnant with our first kid, we kept that secret for a while until she was past the danger zone. You know what I mean? But now that the survivor secret is like, it's no problem to keep a secret.
Did anybody say afterwards, I knew it, that's where I thought? Did anyone guess or?
Not really, but when I do a lot crazy good things always seem to fall on my lap, dude. People call it the Bischoff effect. It's like some people are like, how, all these just crazy things happen to me. And I'm just very fortunate, or I don't know, I go for things in life and I achieve things. But a lot of my friends were like, when they found out I was going to be on Survivor, they were just like, of course you are. Like they didn't, you know what I mean? It's like,
it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, so it was, but it was cool. The support's been great.
And you have people constantly asking you, once it's aired, constantly asking you, so how long were you on, who wins, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can keep the other secret, that stuff's probably
yeah, and it's funny because people would ask me, who won? I'm like, you crazy? I'm not telling you anything, I hated watching, like, playing Survivor and watching it air every week. I knew what was going to go down and who was getting voted off, up into a certain point. And I didn't like that because I'm not one to, like, go online and try to find out spoilers.
Yeah.
It ruins the show for you. So that's why I'm excited about the season that's currently airing, Blood versus Water. I've stayed away from the spoilers. I don't know what's going on. And I'm just watching it as a fan and be surprised. Like tonight is another episode, and I'm excited to watch it.
Awesome. It's cool that you are a fan. You, real quick before we go into break here, you mentioned a few things. You have like this mishmash of all these different things you do. Mm-hmm. You own a couple, is it all BMX?
Yeah, BMX companies.
BMX bikes, and you're in a band, you do other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How was it with being gone and with these other obligations or opportunities you have with Survivor? How has it been managing those things around that, especially with your absence? I mean, it is nice being a business owner because you can just say, hey, I'm gone, but
yeah, what
were the challenges of that?
My wife helps me out in a lot of stuff that I do. So she basically helped out a lot with my bike companies while I was gone, answering emails with all my international distributors and stuff like that. My band, my guitar player was on tour with his other band, so that, it didn't really interfere with anything with the band. And my wife runs a website called radlikedad.com, which sells like baby and kid stuff. So I help her with that. And
Very cool.
But she pretty much held down the fort, dude. Like being a stay-at-home mom and helping with all of that stuff, she had a harder task at hand being home with the kids while I was out playing this game in the Philippines. It was very tough for her, but she got used to it and got into a rhythm of really being able to just hold down the fort and keep everything running smoothly. I don't know if she would have been on Survivor, my whole world probably would have crumbled,
Awesome. We need to pause for a quick break, but we're going to be back in the next segment. Stick with us. We're going to talk about the game. We'll be right back. And we're back with the next segment of this special edition of Anderson Speaks with Anderson graduate, Cincinnati resident, and Survivor contestant, Matt Bischoff. Matt, now, real quick, before we get into the game, I sorry to mislead you folks, but we can discuss this later, but I introduced you as Matt the Beard Bischoff. That's obvious that you have a beard, but you don't just wear this, do you? You can go into detail, but tell people something they might not know exists.
Well, here's the thing. I never liked shaving, so I always grew a beard, and it just kind of became part of who I am. I have a tattoo on my back of the guy with the world's longest beard, Hans Langseth. I was featured on an episode of Miami Ink TV show getting that tattoo. And I go to different beard and mustache competitions all over the place, and I've been a judge at a bunch lately. A lot of beard clubs are asking me to be judges, since I've been on Survivor. And a lot of people that saw me on TV thought my beard was maybe a braid, but it's not. It's a dreadlock.
That's straight up just
and being on the island of the Philippines, I'll tell a funny story real quick. I was floating out there talking to my friends, when we were playing the game in the ocean, and these sea fleas, I guess they are, would get in my beard and bite my face, and I'd have to pull them out of my beard.
Me?
Yeah, it was kind of disgusting. So I might have a few living things in my beard still to this day, somewhere deep.
How did you manage with the long hair and the beard on the island?
I tell you what, my hair was, if you look at some of the footage, my hair was just a matted, just mess of. I thought I was going to have to cut my hair off when I got out.
Really?
It took me about 2 hours. When I got voted out, I finally was able to wash my hair and condition it. I just sat there and picked my hair out, and it took like 2 hours to get all the dreads out of it.
I'd have to imagine it would just be horrible to be voted off because it's not your goal.
Right.
But there is a silver lining. You get to shower.
Yeah,
you get to feel
shower,
clean, eat normal food.
You get to feast on food, and
do you have to be careful with that? Like, don't eat too much too fast?
Yeah. I mean, you lose a lot of weight out there. I probably lost maybe 15 pounds when I was out there.
Wow.
And I was in the game for 16 days,
Wow.
Because all we're eating every day is a little bit of rice. We'd have like a seashell full of rice like once a day. And we never, like my tribe never won any challenges, reward challenges. So we didn't have any kind of food reward. So you're literally, drinking coconut water to stay hydrated. You're so thirsty out there. The thirst was by far like worse than the hunger for me.
Really?
You're very thirsty and hungry. But I would drink coconut water all day to stay hydrated because I just was like, I do not want to be in a position where they could medically evacuate you. It's gnarly out there, dude. It's no joke. My feet were completely lacerated and wrinkled and waterlogged to where I had to dry them out one day, or they could eject you from. They could medically pull you from the game. It's.
Do they do that? Or do they offer? Is there any sort of like first aid treatment or anything, or is if it's that bad, you got to leave, and they're not going to let you die, but it's either you live with it or you leave.
Well, I was never in a position to where I had any kind of life-threatening thing. You know what I mean? Shamar got medically evacuated, and his eye was messed up. And they really were like evaluating the situation, like his eye could be permanently damaged if we don't get him some help. So he got evacuated from the game. So, it's pretty crazy. I mean, your stomach is messed up, and it's just not normal. But I was willing to do whatever it took. Walking around. I mean, you're trying to compete in challenges with lacerations on your feet and bug bites everywhere. It's not fun, but you just deal with it and just go on. I have scars on my feet still to this day from the game.
Wow.
So.
It's just funny the idea I'm seeing of all these first world citizens being thrown into this almost like worse than third world situation where like there's no bathrooms. I mean, I have to imagine that we talked about civility, but just I don't know, some of the common social norms we're used to are kind of just tossed out the window.
Yeah, and you don't care. People smell. I mean, you don't get to brush your teeth. You try to clean your teeth with like bamboo pieces or something like that, but you're disgusting. You know what I mean? But I would go out in the ocean and take sand and salt water and kind of give myself a bath. But I always wondered, watching the show, I'd see everyone with like black dirt under the fingernails, and I was like, why don't they take a stick and clean their fingernails? Well, when I was out there playing the game, I was constantly cleaning my fingernails, but you can never get clean. There's no toilet paper, there's no luxuries, no nothing. So it's pretty wild.
I can see why people want to be on the show. I mean, this sounds like paradise, man. Gosh, it would be an experience. I don't know if I have the how do they say, chutzpah to have to put myself through that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to either be a huge fan or just you're probably a little bit of a sadist.
Just
enjoy it.
Survivor it's a crazy game, and it was, like I said, it was hell, but it was very, very fun. I had fun every day. I laughed a lot, made jokes, played games. Because I'm sitting around. Reynolds and I would take coconuts and play this bocce ball game.
Awesome.
Just to do something fun, and it was fun swimming around and exploring, the different parts of the island. And
how much range do you have?
I mean, there's over 5,000 islands in the Philippines. So our island was pretty big, but you could, walk all around it, you know what I mean? And, the other tribe was on an island somewhere different.
Really?
Like, that's the thing that I didn't realize before I played Survivor is it's not just like you're on one big area and there's every challenge that's in the game is right there. Challenges were all, like, we didn't know where a challenge was going to be.
Really?
Yeah, they must build that stuff way in advance, and but yeah, the challenges were unbelievable. Tribal Council, when I first went to, I know we haven't talked about Tribal Council, but when I first went to Tribal Council and I'm sitting there at Tribal Council,
You're like, I'm at Tribal
yeah, I was just like, I can't believe I'm at Tribal Council. It was intense, and that first time where you walk and you write the person's name down and show it, you know what I mean? It's just, I just can't believe
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah,
Like,
every day I would wake up.
Culture.
I would see, our tribe flag, Survivor Caramo and Fans versus Favorites, and I couldn't believe I was playing the game of Survivor. It's like I'm a huge fan, and it's surreal almost now. It's almost like a dream that never happened that I played the game.
I still laugh about this. I didn't watch the first season, which I want to talk about Richard and kind of him being kind of the trendsetter, but I don't know if it was second or third season. It would air the night we go over to my grandma's for dinner. So I knew a little bit what was going on.
Yeah.
I remember the first tribal ceremony I ever saw where I made a cop part of stuff, but I was kind of invested in the person. And I remember when they snuff the candle and the music plays, I remember going and like starting to choke up. I'm like, this is stupid that I am sitting here, but it was so like emotional. It was very dramatic the way they did it, and I still laugh to this day. I was like, it's a person getting voted off a reality show, but I was like, I was almost emotional over it the way they did it. Do you get any of that when you're part of it?
Yeah.
Or are you just like, I itch and stink?
No, I mean, you're playing this crazy game, and you're with these people on your tribe 24 hours a day. And you're going through this like really gnarly experience with them. And even when I came back, I tried to tell my wife how everything went down, but no one truly knows except the people that were there of how it really was, you know what I mean? So you get emotionally attached to people and the first few votes. I cared about all the people that, was getting their torches snuffed, but to be honest, dude, it's like friends or not friends, I was there to win the game and make sure I wasn't going home.
Yeah.
So as long as it wasn't me, I really didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you feel a little bit bad. Obviously, I love all the people that I voted out and was a part of my tribe. I felt bad voting them out, but I'm good friends with them now because everyone realizes, well, most people realize it's a game. And that's the way it is, dude.
And that's what we need to talk about. I told the folks at home that we were going to focus on the game,
Yeah.
the strategy, and maybe we can start with the first season. I know enough about the first season that people came in and I think they were expecting more of a physical challenge. And then Richard, who ultimately won, was just pulling strings, and he's the one who kind of set this tone for the middle game, which probably would have got to anyways. But we were talking in the break for a little bit, but I have tons of questions. One is, I've imagined, put myself in the scenario. Do you go as yourself in the way that you would handle things in the regular world? You're going to handle them on the island, or is it a version of yourself where it's you, but you realize you're in a game? Or do people or yourself go and you're like, I'm going to be completely different. I'm going to be this character, and people might think I'm nice, or they might think I'm grungy or this and that, but I'm going to come across completely different. Like, how did you approach it, and how do you think most people approach it?
I think it's different for everybody. I think like in my season, everyone's like, how is that Philip guy? Was he crazy? And I think Philip is a little bit eccentric type person, but when he's in the game of Survivor, he like goes overboard crazy. You know what I mean? Like on purpose, he's playing it up.
Just exaggerates.
So I just think different people play it differently, but I think your real, true self will show through no matter how you want to hide it in the game of Survivor, and you can see it time and time again. Me, I went in being me. I knew going in that my social game was going to be a strong point of mine. I knew physically I would, be able to hold my own. I ride BMX and had played many sports growing up and stuff like that. I didn't figure I was going to go in and be some challenge beast, but I knew I would do, decent in the challenges. But the social game, I knew that, okay, when I go in there, like in my normal everyday life, I have a lot of friends, and I get along with everybody. So I knew that going out in the game of Survivor, I'm just going to start creating relationships with everybody and just be myself and be cool, and hopefully they'll trust me and like me, and that's kind of what happened. I was in a great position because I had the 4 cool kids, which was, Reynold, Allie, Hope, and Eddie. They were a foursome, and they thought that I was with them. But I was playing them. I was like, yeah, I'm totally with you guys. I'm totally with you. But then my true alliance, which is, with everyone else, and Michael being my main ally in my alliance, it was kind of a bummer because I was playing both sides. Technically, if my tribe would have won challenges and not had to continually vote somebody out, I was in an amazing spot because I could either go with the cool kids alliance or I could go with my other alliance. And Michael, straight up was willing to do whichever way that I wanted to go. So if I wanted to bring Michael over to the cool kids table, he would have done it. Unfortunately, we lost and kept having to, vote people out. So we wanted to obviously split up the couples. That was one of the main dumb things that you can do, Survivor 101, was when Allie and Hope were hooking up with Eddie and Reynold as looking like a couple, you don't do that. That's how, that's a real tight bond that we had to immediately break up, and that's why Hope and Allie were the first 2 to go, because we wanted to keep the guys around for strength, because obviously the strategy and the strategy game is pretty much your alliance and stuff is mega important. But, winning the challenges in the beginning is equally important, because if you don't win challenges, you're going to tribal council and you're having to vote somebody out.
Yeah.
So that was what losing time and time again it just wears on you, because keep having to go to tribal council, dude, and break up your tribe. It's just no fun. And we were outnumbered when we did the tribe swap, and I was playing a fans versus favorites season, and the favorites they outnumbered the fans when we did the tribe switch up. So I knew that when I went over to that new beach with Philip and Cochran and Don and Corinne, that the 4 of them were sticking together, no matter what. So my strategy at that point was, I'm going to try to be completely honest with these people to where they trust me and hopefully want to work with me once the merge happened. And I knew that if I would have made it to the merge, it's a totally different game. So unfortunately, we lost challenges, and that stupid tribe swap was the demise of my game. I felt like I was in a great spot on my tribe. I was never once like mega nervous that I was going to get voted out of the game. You're constantly thinking about strategy and scenarios the entire time that you're out there. I was constantly looking for the hidden immunity idol all over the place, and just it's a fun game to play. It was awesome.
So you went from being in a position where you could be the majority in either 2 different groups to be in the minority. What was the difference physically, or was there any difference when you made the switch to the new island? Was there anything different about that island, or was it the same experience for you?
I tell you what, I'm very psyched that I got to go over to the Bacall Beach and experience their island that they were on, because it was a totally different style of. It was just totally different terrain. There was more cliffs and rocky stuff, and there was this like gorgeous lagoon thing that you could go swimming in, and they actually had food. Like they had won challenges. They had comfort. They had blankets and pillows and chairs and stuff like that. So it was cool to experience, both camps. You know what I mean? And I was there for 3 days, and then it was bad news for me. And I knew when we did the tribe swap, and I looked over and saw all the young, athletic people on on the Goda tribe, and then I'm on the Bakal tribe with all the older people and the less athletic people. I said, we're doomed in challenges right now, and it was a bummer. There is an extreme amount of luck in the game of Survivor, and I had bad luck. There's nothing I could do, and that's why I wasn't that mad at anybody when I got voted out, because there's nothing I could do.
You feel like you played it well.
Yeah, I felt like I played a good game, and there was just nothing I could do. We were outnumbered. It's like the fans were outnumbered by the favorites, and they were going to pick us off one by one. And they knew that I was because I asked Philip out in L.A. at the finale. I said, Philip, is there anything that I could have done to not get voted out the night that I got voted out? He said, Matt, no. He said, you were the most physical threat out of anyone, out of Michael or Julia on your tribe. You're the most likable guy. And we knew you didn't have a hidden immunity idol, so we voted you out.
Biggest threat.
Yeah. So so I can't. I respect those people. I probably would have voted me out too. Some people asked me, was it a shock that you got voted out? Were you blindsided? Going into tribal council, I knew I had, it was either me, Julia, or Michael getting voted out. I remember looking down at the sand, just like, oh man, is this going to be me? I thought Julia was going to get voted out that night, possibly. The second I saw Matt show up, I knew that, it was time for me to go. So,
now, as far as building the alliances and playing your strategy, we were talking on the break about, obviously, in your real life, you're not going to, you have business dealings, you have personal dealings. You're not going to tell people one thing and then go another way. You're not going to mislead people or lie. But when you're on the island, you're in a game.
That's right.
So what was it like if you're a person who, I can imagine me doing that, but then maybe feeling bad about it. Do you get any sort of that?
Well, you definitely have convictions of in certain instances, but I was there. I knew I was going to lie. I lied tons of times in the game. I would lie straight to people's faces, and sometimes it was kind of funny because I would lie to Reynolds and Eddie right to their face, like, yo, this is who we're voting for, and then we voted out Allie. And then after that tribal council, when we first voted out Allie, Reynolds was really, really mad, and Reynolds and Eddie came up to me and what was that all about? And I basically was like, oh, Allie was trying to scheme. I had to make up some story.
Spin it, yeah.
Part of it was true, but part of it was exaggerated to make them not mad at me. You know what I mean? And then they I gained their trust back, and then I voted out the next girl that they were with. And then but I liked those guys, and I was actually, open to working with them farther along in the game. But you can't play Survivor, no matter how much morals you have. Dawn Meehan, for example, who made it to the final three, she's a Mormon mother that adopted, 7 children, lives in Salt Lake City, Utah, and, in her normal life, she's not the way she was on my season. She was and I underestimated that. I didn't realize Dawn was going to be as cutthroat as she was, and I love Dawn. And it was crazy because fans and people out in Survivor land were giving her death threats and all this on her social media, saying, I hope you die in a plane crash and stuff.
Wow.
Really horrible tweets. And Jeff Probst even talked about it because of the way she played the game. And I said, you know what? She was there to win the game. If that meant lie, it's like outwit, outplay, outlast.
Yeah.
It's just like, you and I were talking on break, if you're playing any kind of card game or whatever, you're going to do what it takes to win. Right. And I was willing to do whatever it takes to win. Michael was one of my main alliance people. Had I made it farther in the game and had to vote out Michael, I would have voted out anybody. I wasn't there to make friends. I was there to play the game. And I do have lifelong friendships with a lot of people. I still stay in communication with people, but it is a game.
How not just from a strategic standpoint, but maybe an emotional or just to give you some confidence standpoint, how important was Michael? How important was having somebody who you knew you were going to go like this is the one dude I know who's got my back. Like, is that vital? Was that vital for you to have that?
Yeah, it's vital, but you can never really fully trust anybody, though, at the same time. It's like I thought, Michael and was, going to be loyal to me, but you always have that, are they telling the truth? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was pretty confident, and Michael and I are great friends to this day, and we had a blast playing the game and strategizing together. He was the most fun person as far as strategically, doing things in the game was with Michael. And but you can never fully trust. You're stupid to go on Survivor to know that you can trust everybody, because
I'm sure there are some people you can trust more than others, but I would like to think that the farthest you can trust somebody is when it comes down to them or you.
yeah,
Obviously, they're going to pick themselves and not you. But even you have to be looking a couple steps ahead. Michael or someone might be in a position where they say, I need to do this now because if I don't do it now, I'm going to be gone in 2 tribal councils. But maybe I can stay to the end if we do this now.
Yep, totally.
You're
You're
the kind of stuff that
constantly,
keeps you up at night?
Yes, you definitely get kept up at night by thinking about the different scenarios and outcomes, and if we vote this person out, how's that going to affect this decision? And it's crazy. It's the most mentally hard thing that I've ever done.
Was it? I don't want to make this sound wrong,
Yeah.
but did you? I could imagine it being there. Was there some enjoyment in being able to play people, of set this scenario and then work it this way? Not that you're manipulating people, but I could imagine there's a sort of bit of enjoyment to be the person setting the plan and seeing it work instead of being.
Oh yeah, no,
receiving that.
I had a blast. Like I said, the strategy part of the game is what I love to watch on Survivor. Among other things, I like watching the challenges, this, that, and the other. But it is very fun making moves and going into tribal council and being like, oh man, like this is gonna get wild, or this person has no idea what's about to happen. It's super exciting. You know what I mean? It's almost hard to explain because you watch it as a fan on your couch, and sometimes you yell at the TV like, why'd they make that decision or this or that? But until you're out there playing, I will never judge someone's gameplay now that I've played it, because it's very hard.
Now you shared when the vote of the first girl off, you shared what it was like when they came back and you kind of had that blowback. Was that one of the an example of this, or did you have any situations where you're like, okay, we did that, but I'm really not looking forward to the blowback, or I'm not looking forward to having to deal with the aftermath of this?
Well, yeah, I tell you what, I was the only one on my tribe playing both sides blatantly. Like, I was in my core alliance with, Michael and Sherry and Laura and Julia and stuff like that. And I was playing the 4 cool kids people like super hard. So I was the one that was getting all the slack and all the backlash and having to talk my sweet way out of the situation because they thought that I was with them, you know what I mean? So I was just in a crazy spot because no one else was really having to do that dirty work, you know what I mean? But it was also, it was exciting and fun, and I feel like Reynold afterwards. Reynold is from Cincinnati, Ohio as well, and I went and hung out at his parents' house not too long ago, and he was still kind of hurt over me lying to him. Him and I were close friends out there, and it did kind of affect him. Like he may not have been as much of a fan as me, and really not known. Like, wow, this is Survivor. You guys are really playing this game hard. It's like, yeah, dude, this is a gnarly, crazy game. You know what I mean? It's cutthroat, and so everything's cool now. But he definitely it threw him for a loop. Like actually getting lied to and being like, wow, like this is pretty intense. You know what I mean?
We talked about different levels of people. Did you see that in other people? They come out and they're just like, they're taking everything personal and like, why would you do that? Or are most people aware of the game?
Some people take things personally, man, but a lot of people realize that it's just a game. But there's definitely, I know from past seasons, I've talked to so many other survivors that have played past seasons, and there's certain people that, from 10 seasons ago that still will not talk to one another because of something that happened on the island, I get along with everybody that I played the game with on both tribes, and I still speak to the majority of everybody, and it's a game. And I try to tell people that dude, it's a game.
Right.
Get over it.
Right.
You got to play. It's Survivor. You're on a reality television show, dude. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they're just sore about not. What is it? $1 million? Is that what the winner gets?
Yeah.
They're probably just sore. They're probably counting their money way too early.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So what has life been like for you? Actually, no. Before we get that, Jeff Probst.
Yeah.
He seems like a really cool dude. I mean, the stuff he says and how he conducts himself and things I've seen off Survivor of what he's like in real life.
Yeah.
Is that really what he's like?
Yeah, Jeff Probst is awesome. The very first time I met Jeff Probst, I said, dude, I was like, you are amazing. I said, you make this show awesome. You know what I mean? You're great at what you do. He's super cool, super nice guy, very smart, and to see him in action, like just off the top of his head, like his commentary when you're out there, it's just unbelievable. But yeah, Jeff Probst, he's an awesome guy.
How often do you interact with Jeff? Only in the challenges and tribal councils?
Yeah, the only time that I ever saw Jeff was challenges, tribal council, and when he came to our island when Shamar was getting evacuated.
Okay.
Other than that, you don't see Jeff.
But there obviously, not obviously, but does he have some sort of knowledge of what's happening? Are they keeping tabs on you guys and trying to stay up with the narrative as it's happening?
I'm pretty sure that they're, the producers are kind of probably mapping out how everything's going and piecing it together kind of as it's going, I'm assuming, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot to go through, I'm sure, when they're filming all that stuff 24 hours a day. But Probst he's unbelievable.
That's awesome. Now, I had a thought that I want to share before we move on to kind of the afterlife part. But we talked about, basically said, you can't be on Survivor unless you can't play the game without lying or misleading. And I'm just thinking it probably helps just to be a very creative person.
Yeah.
And kind of a quick thinking person. You said you've had to deal with things right on the spot. So probably be theatrical and creative and really lends to the situation. Did you ever see people who just were on the show, but you're watching them, you're watching their reactions, and you're just going, you don't have it?
Oh, I would be like, why did they cast this person? Like, this person's going to be not that, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. They obviously, casting is a crazy process, and they're obviously looking for certain types of people, but there's just definitely some people that are more type A personalities and some that are just like kind of not as exciting, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, you were asking me since Survivor happened, I did viewing parties every week at the Anderson Buffalo Wild Wings. Christina Barth, the general manager up there, treated me so unbelievably amazing. Awesome. And what we did was every week that I did a viewing party, I donated 10% of the food sales to a charity of my choice.
Awesome.
So I got to do every week donate to just some amazing charities, giving back to my community and doing things like this. It makes me excited to talk to people in the community, or when I meet someone on the street and they're excited to meet Matt from Survivor, I'll sit there and take pictures with them and talk about my experience, because I'm no different than anyone else. I just got lucky to be on, an amazing TV show, and I don't know, it's been great.
Is it luck, or what'd you call it, the Bischoff effect? Is that what
it is? You know what's funny? One of the guys that co-hosted my TV show Urban Discipline that we did on public access, he's one of the guys that came up with the term the Bischoff effect. His name's John, and good things happen, man. I don't know.
So real quick, you got the T-shirt on. You're in a band called, is it Moonbow? Or
Moonbow. Yep. I do all kinds of stuff, man. So
awesome.
Just look for Matt the Beard Bischoff on Facebook to find out what I'm up to.
Well, dude, we need to have you back sometime, man, and just kind of refresh us and get into some of the other stuff that you're into. I'm really excited about that.
Heck yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me.
On, brother.
Right on, dude.
All right, we got to go. We'll catch you on the next installment of Anderson Speaks. Until then, bye-bye. Hello, you're watching Anderson Community Television. I want to welcome you. I'm Kyle Densler, your host for this special edition of Anderson Speaks. We have a special guest with us here that we're going to focus on for the full hour. He is a native of Anderson, actually a graduate, and he is best known to many of you as a recent cast member of Survivor. With me, we have Matt the Beard Bischoff. Matt, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man, it's a pleasure. I came in the studio here, and it's definitely a step up from when I used to produce a show for Anderson Community Television.
Yeah, this is like a welcome back.
It is, man. I got the whole tour, so it's really nice, and I'm stoked to be here, man.
All right, Anderson roots here. You graduated from Anderson in 92. 92.
Yep.
And then spent how long with ACTV?
Well, I had a music video show called Urban Discipline that we did. It was a weekly show. We had action sports and alternative